Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. Today we're doing a 90-minute full body Yin Yoga class. This will just be like a class at a yoga studio with plenty of deep stretches and long holds. This class is class 1 of a new series here on my channel where I'm inviting you to come and join me for a full-length Yin Yoga class once a week for the next 9 weeks. For this class, you might grab a nice firm pillow or a cushion and a blanket. Since we're doing deep stretches and long holds today, it's nice to have these items nearby just to support your body if it does need them. So press pause if you need to. Otherwise, we're ready to begin this 90-minute Yin Yoga class with our first pose, which is Anhatasana or melting heart pose. Now we will have our knees on the mat for the duration of this hold, and we're going to do a full 5-minute hold. So that's where you can place your blanket on the mat, just to provide a little bit of extra cushioning for your knees. So if you are using a blanket, just keep it nice and flat. An alternative here would be to fold your yoga mat on top of itself, so you do have that little bit of extra cushioning. We're going to begin with a brief extended child's pose, and that's going to be your option here if you don't feel as though you're ready to do the full Anhatasana pose, and that's absolutely fine. So we'll just place our knees onto our blanket or our mat. Keep the big toes together and have the knees nice and wide apart. Then slide your hands towards the top of your yoga mat, resting your forehead onto the mat. Alternatively here, your forehead can come to rest on a cushion, or you can make a little platform with your hands, resting your forehead onto your hands. Just taking a nice few steady breaths here, saying hello to your body, recognizing whatever sensations you feel, and just breathe into them. If any thoughts start to arise within your mind, again, just notice them. And then tell yourself that you can think about that later. For now, you're focused on your body and on your breath. You're welcome to stay here. But if you do want to come into the full extension of Anhatasana, you can start to lift yourself slowly up. Bring your knees to about underneath your hips, keeping the knees hip-width distance apart. Now we're going to keep our hips relatively over our knees. It's okay if they move here, but you're really going to feel this pose the most if your hips do stay above the knees. Hands are still sliding towards the top of your mat. Now just the chest and head come back to the floor. So this time we're feeling a mild back bend in our upper and mid back. Starting to feel that opening through your chest and your shoulders. This is a nice pose to open and soften your heart. So just let gravity do the work, feeling your heart drip towards the earth. If this pose is too intense, or if you feel any tingling, numbness, or pain within your arms, you can take your arms wider apart, or you can bend your elbows to bring your hands closer to you. It's It's really important as we go through this Yin Yoga practice to respect the body, to listen to its cues, and if it's asking you to come out of a pose, please do so. You don't need my permission to come out of any pose. Now connecting to your breath again, feeling the sensation within your body, and gently closing the door on any thoughts that are coming into your mind. Take 3 more full breaths in and out, nourishing every fiber of your body that is asking for it. When you're ready to release the pose, you can slowly slip back into child's pose, bringing your hips back towards your heels, widening out the knees again, resting the forehead to the mat or onto your hands. And then this time you can bring your hands next to your feet, allowing your palms to face up. And just rest here for the next minute in child's pose. If you need to support your body here, you can place a cushion in underneath your hips. Bring your fingertips back to the floor now and use an inhale to slowly push the floor away from you. Coming back to sit on your mat for a moment. Taking a breath to just feel the effects of the poses we've practiced already. Now from here we'll make our way into our next pose, which is caterpillar pose. Again, we'll hold for 5 minutes in total. So if you have a cushion, you can sit up on your cushion. Legs are long out in front. Feet are not fully relaxed, not flexed. They're just somewhere in the middle, remaining active. If your hamstrings are very tight here, you can take a bend into your knees. Otherwise, you can keep your legs nice and long. Now inhale to lengthen up through your spine, and as you exhale, just fold over your legs, allowing your back to round. Hands can come to rest wherever feels natural for them to do so. Now let's just take a moment to check in here. If you have any sort of lower back disorder that doesn't allow your back to round, you can just keep your spine nice and straight. If your hamstrings and knees are feeling really tight, you can take your blanket, roll it up and place it in underneath your knees. Otherwise, just experiment with finding that nice bend in your knees, which allows you to fully enjoy this pose. Here in Caterpillar, we're lengthening and stretching the back of the spine. We're massaging all the stomach organs, stimulating the kidneys, and massaging the heart. So as you inhale, feel that expansion of the air within your body, gently pressing all your internal organs. And then as you exhale and your body is empty of air, you might feel yourself lowering a little bit deeper into the pose. Committing to stillness, resisting the urge to fidget, just taking that journey inwards, connecting to your breath, connecting to your internal body. Checking in here, making sure the hips are still rotated forward, that they haven't tilted backwards. Feet are active. Mind is with the breath and with the body. And if your head and shoulders become too heavy, you can always support your head with your hands, just resting your elbows onto your thighs. Or you can place a cushion on your legs to rest your elbows onto. As we prepare to take our last breath here in this pose, scan through your body and determine which part of your body is asking for your breath the most. And then when you're ready, send a big nourishing breath into it. Exhale to let something go. With your next inhale, you can bring your fingertips back to your mat and slowly push yourself away from the floor. Coming back to sit upright. Here you might lean back on your hands, shake out your legs, rotate through your ankles, stretch your toes. Just do whatever you need to do to release the pose. Now from here we'll come into our next pose, which is baby dragon. So first you can come to all fours, removing the cushion for now. When you're there, bring your right foot in between your hands and slide your back knee back as far as you can. Now, if the back knee protests being against the mat, you can place your blanket or cushion in underneath. Here in baby dragon, providing a nice deep groin opener, also stretching through your quad and your hip flexor on the back leg, which is your left leg right now. We're just staying here for about 2 minutes. Check in on your front foot and make sure your front ankle is roughly underneath your front knee. Hands are at the mat, or if you have yoga blocks, you can rest your hands onto the yoga blocks here. Head can be dropped. Eyes can be looking out in front, whatever feels best for you. Now start to press the top of your back foot firmly into the mat, not creating too much yang energy here, just keeping the body slightly active. Start to draw in a few deep breaths, sending them all the way into the bowl of your pelvis. You're welcome to stay here if this pose is feeling really good for you. But if you want to take it a little bit deeper and go to our next dragon, we're going to practice high flying dragon. So to do this, you can slowly bring both of your hands up onto your front thigh. Find your center of balance here. So your weight is going into your hips rather than into your knees. We're going to be here like this for 1 minute. And just like every other pose, if you've come into the pose and it's not working for you, if it doesn't feel good for your body or if it doesn't feel right, just come back down into baby dragon. That's absolutely okay. Keeping that back foot pressing into the mat, keeping your weight centered. Take one more big breath into your hips. And now as you exhale, you can start to bring your hands back to the mat. And this time we'll come into low flying dragon. So you can walk your right foot over towards the right side of your mat. So now both of your hands are to the inside of your right foot. Right toes might point away from you here. And we're going to be here for 2 minutes in our low flying dragon. identifying all the little pockets of tension within the body and just using the breath in to loosen up that tension and carry it out of your body. You're doing really good here. Dragon pose is not easy, especially if you're new to Yin Yoga. Remember to keep your awareness with your breath, with your body as best you can. Now to release dragon pose, we're going to step back into downward facing dog. You can take your time getting there, and however you get there is fine. Whenever you're ready, you might bring your back toes back onto your mat, lifting your back knee, and now slowly stepping that right foot back. Nice big ah if you need to. Hands might walk a little bit more towards the front of your mat. Start to point your tailbone up towards the sky and drag your hips up and back behind you, allowing your head to fall towards the mat. We'll take a moment here, just pressing one heel at a time into the mat, doing whatever you need to do to release our dragon sequence. With your next exhale, drop both knees back down onto the mat, finding ourselves in the position to repeat that dragon sequence, this time on the left side. So step your left foot forward in between your hands, walking your back foot back as much as you can. Front knee is over the front ankle relatively. And just settling into our baby dragon. Once again, feeling that opening within your groin, your back, quad and hip flexor. And just welcome all of these new sensations with a nice full breath in, sending lots of fresh oxygen and energy into those areas. Back foot pressing into the mat, creating that little bit of energy and activity within the body. Body and mind are still. Breath is steady. Once again, you're welcome to stay here or begin to progress into high flying dragon, both hands to the left thigh, weight into the hips. 1 minute here, maybe that's 6 full breaths for you. With your next exhale, lower both hands back to the earth, and maybe this time coming into low flying dragon, left foot towards the left side of the mat. Holding here for 2 minutes if we can. Your mind might start to throw up some excuses to abandon this pose or to abandon this practice altogether. But just ask yourself, why? Why can't I hold this pose? Of course, if we're in pain or extreme discomfort, come out of the pose. But otherwise, just challenge yourself to stay and to ignore the voices in your head that are telling you that you can't. Taking our last 3 breaths here in this dragon sequence. Now you can start to slowly transition back into downward facing dog. Big let out whatever you need to do. And then again, bending your knees, pressing one heel at a time to the earth. And just giving your body time to release the poses. Once again, you can drop both knees back down to the mat and come to lie on the front of your body. Making our way into our next pose, which is Sphinx pose. So we have our feet about hip width distance apart, maybe wider, and then clasp opposite elbows with your hands. From here, you can bring your forearms onto the mat, maybe spreading your fingers nice and wide. And first, just checking in here, noticing how this feels. Sphinx pose creates a nice compression for your lower back, but that might be a little bit too intense. And if it is, you can simply slide your elbows further away from you. You can also use your cushion here and underneath your chest if needed. We'll be here for 5 minutes. So starting to feel all of those sensations within the lower back. Sphinx pose helps to tone your entire spine. We're also stimulating all those kidneys, well, both of your kidneys at the bottom of your back. And we also hold all of our Jing energy in our lower back. So placing this pressure on the lower back in this way just helps to get everything moving, helps to stimulate everything. Anything that is stuck in your lower back is about to be released when we release Sphinx pose. But for now, just try to settle into the pose, finding your stillness, finding your breath. Eyes can look directly out in front in this pose, or if it feels good, you can drop your head. And if your head is dropped, you're also stimulating your thyroid gland, your throat chakra. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on my channel, but this pose is often reminding me of when we have a garden hose and we kink it, which stops the water from flowing through. That's exactly what we've done with the energy in our body. We have this kink in our back, so everything's getting stuck at this one point in the lower back. Now, I mentioned we're about to release all of that energy, just like we're unkinking the hose. So when you're ready, you can start to slowly spill back down onto your mat. Big ah if you need to. Let out whatever you want to let out. Bring your hands together to make a pillow, and then rest your cheek or forehead onto your pillow. Bring your big toes to kiss each other, and let your heels drop towards the edges of your mat. Resting here in crocodile pose for 1 minute. enjoying the circulation of energy throughout your entire body. From here, prepare to slowly transition back into child's pose. However you get there is okay. Keeping our knees together this time, big toes find each other again. Cushion can come in underneath the hips if needed. Forehead to the mat or to your hands. And if your hands are not being used, bring them back next to your feet. And just allowing our spine to round again for a few breaths. With your next inhale, bring your fingertips back to the floor and slowly lift yourself up again. And we'll come into our next pose, which is frog pose. So this is a really deep groin opener, really nice stretch for your hips. But of course it is very deep, so we're going to take it nice and slowly. Always listen to your body. Remember, you can work up to these deeper stretches. We don't have to aim for the full version of the pose straight away today. So this is another pose where our knees will be on the mat. So I highly recommend to place your blanket on the mat like so. We'll keep our pillow nearby as well for this pose. So naturally enough, we will start in tadpole pose, which is extended child's pose. So our toes are together, knees are nice and wide apart, and then hands are reaching out in front of us. You might be happy to spend your full 5-minute hold here in tadpole. But if you would like to go a little bit deeper, you can start to lift your hips up. So now your hips are over your knees, there or thereabouts. Hands again come to the front one at a time, and then lower your chest and head towards the mat or bring them onto your pillow. So this pose is similar to Anhatasana, which we started our practice with. But this time you should be feeling more of an opening around your hips and groin. And feel free to experiment with the position of your hips until you find that opening. Now to go even deeper, you might start to slowly bring your knees wider apart. And then have your ankles in line with your knees and your toes may be facing away from you, or pointing away from you rather. And again, one hand at a time to slowly lower the chest down. As always, if we feel any tingling or numbness within our hands, just bend the elbows, bring them back closer to you. And now let's settle into our frog pose. Once again, if you need to change the position of your hips, feel free to do so. And if your body is signaling to you at all that this pose is not working, just come back down, peel it back, come back to tadpole if you want to, that's okay. Frog pose is a great hip opener, as I'm sure you can feel. Also a really nice pose to help with cramps, whether that be menstrual or digestive related. So really allow your belly to expand with each breath in, and then detoxify with each breath out. Doing super good here. Taking our last few breaths. And now let's prepare the body to slowly come back into child's pose. Reversing one little step at a time. Again, big ahs here if you need to. Just let it all out. And then again, we'll rest in child's pose, keeping our knees together, allowing the back to round again, and just letting the body digest what we've done. When you're ready to come back from child's pose, you can come back to sit on your mat. Maybe removing our blanket to the side once again. And then preparing for our next pose, which is cat pulling its tail. So we'll begin this pose in a very brief Sphinx pose. Now eventually we're going to roll over towards the left side of the mat. So you might just shift yourself so you're more towards the right side of the mat. That way you won't be completely on the floor when we do roll across. From here, rest your head into your left hand and then take a bend into your left leg. Very slowly now start to roll over towards your left hip. Come to hold this bent leg, which is your left leg. Hold the foot with your right hand. And just take it slowly here. You might start to just experiment by pulling this right foot towards you. And if you do feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, then you can start to completely roll onto your back, shimmying and twisting so you can get both of your shoulders back to the floor. And starting to feel that gentle twist within your spine. Your top leg, which is your left leg, can stay straight. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can start to bring that left foot closer to you, but keeping the leg entirely straight. Left arm can rest wherever feels natural. And if you want to go deeper into your twist, you can turn your head to face the right side. We'll be here for 3 minutes in total. But as always, if you need to release the pose sooner, that's okay. Just come back to rest on the front of your body. Taking deep, steady breaths, visiting every part of your body, noticing every sensation. And just a few more moments here in this pose. You can start now to release the pose, very slowly reversing one stage at a time to come back to lie on the front of your body. Taking maybe a brief crocodile rest here. Checking in on both sides of the body and maybe feeling a big difference. Feeling how off our equilibrium is because we only have done the pose on one side. So let's, of course, rebalance ourselves by repeating the pose on the opposite side. So back into our Sphinx. This time we'll be rolling to the right, so you might shimmy a little bit over towards the left. Take your head into your right hand now and bend your right knee. Start to roll towards the right side of the body and find your right foot with your left hand. Slowly twisting, shifting, shimmying until we have that nice twist within our spine. Both of our shoulders are back to the mat. Right leg can stay long and we can reach it up towards the head, maybe taking the twist deeper by looking over towards the left. Enjoying 3 minutes in total in this cat pulling its tail pose. It's time to slowly transition out of the pose, releasing the body little by little and coming to lie on the front, resting in crocodile, big toes back together, body completely relaxed. Now when you're ready, you can pick yourself back up. We're making our way to all fours, setting ourselves up for our next pose, which is sleeping swan. So you can begin by bringing your right knee forward in between your hands, walking your back knee back as far as is comfortable. Now flex this front foot. That's going to help to protect your front knee. And first of all, let's just see how we're feeling here. Try to keep your weight balanced equally between two sides of the hips. And if you find that you're leaning more towards your right hip, you can place your cushion in underneath that hip to help to keep everything square. Now, if this feels too intense, you can just keep your foot closer to your hips. But if you would like to go a little bit deeper, you might be able to very mindfully walk this right foot forward. Now, personally, having my foot forward just doesn't work for me, so I'm going to keep it back close to my hips. Maybe it does work for you to have that right foot a little bit closer to the top of your mat. Mindfully experiment here. Remember to keep your foot flexed. And when you have found the position that works for you, we're going to take ourselves down into sleeping swan, bringing our arms onto the mat in front of us, maybe creating a pillow to rest our head on, or the head can rest onto the mat. It might feel good for you to stretch your arms completely out in front of you. We'll be here for 3 minutes in total, getting that nice external rotation into your hip. Once again, stretching the quad and hip flexor in our back leg. Find sensations within your body that will keep you anchored here. You're doing so well with this longer practice. Around this time, your mind might start to once again throw up challenges. Just ask why. Challenge yourself to stay with your body, with your breath, and physically stay on your yoga mat. Checking in that everything is still square within your hips. Weight is distributed equally between the two sides. Front foot is flexed. When you're ready to release Sleeping Swan, you can start to slowly transition back into downward facing dog, bringing the back toes onto the mat, lifting the back knee, and then sliding this right leg back. Taking a moment here, once again, really feeling the difference between both sides of your body. And when you're ready to transition to the opposite side, you can drop both knees back to the mat. Slide your left knee forward this time. Flex this left foot. Back knee slides back even further if that feels good. Hips are square to the front of your mat. And if you're ready, you can come on down into your Sleeping Swan. Saying hello to all of the sensations that this side of the pose brings. Connect to your breath. Quieten your thoughts as best you can. Commit to the silence and stillness of this pose for the next 3 minutes. It's now time to transition to downward facing dog. There's no rush to get there. Once you are there, doing whatever you need to do to release the pose. And once you feel satisfied, you can bring both knees back down onto the mat and come to sit with your legs out long in front of you. Making our way into our next pose, which is shoelace. Again, this is quite a nice deep hip opener. Anytime we're sitting on the mat doing a hip opener, we can elevate the hips, which will help them to open up a little bit more. So that's why we'll take our cushion and we'll sit on it. And we have lots of options for shoelace pose to make this more accessible. If you find that the full extension of shoelace doesn't work for you, you can sit cross-legged on your mat like so. If you want to go a little bit deeper than that, you can keep your right leg out long and then bring your left foot across so it's to the outside of your right hip. Now this is half shoelace and you can stay here, no problem. But if you do want to go into full shoelace, go even deeper, you can bend this bottom leg as well. So now your right foot is over beside your left hip. So we want to make sure we're not sitting on the feet here. If you need to wiggle around and adjust and just widen your feet so they're not underneath. We'll be here for 3 minutes, already feeling that nice opening within the hips. Take a moment here to check in on your jaw. Make sure there's no tension trapped in there. Relax your face, your neck, your shoulders. Lengthen your spine if you can, creating this nice clear passageway for your breath to drop all the way down into your hips. As your breath goes into your hips, feel it opening up any blockages, any tension that's in there. And as you exhale, you're carrying that tension out of your body. You might be happy to stay like this with your spine upright, but there is an option here if you wish to take this into a fold by very slowly walking our hands away from us, dropping our nose towards the top knee, and now feeling that opening through the lower back a little bit more, feeling more of a compression around our stomach organs, once again stimulating them all and putting a little bit of gentle pressure on them. Wherever you are, make sure both of your seat bones are still pressing into your cushion. If you're in the fold, you can start to make your way gradually back up into a straight spine. And then we can release the pose by slowly unraveling the legs. Make them long and just shake them out. Do whatever feels natural to do here. And we'll repeat on the opposite side. So if you're sitting cross-legged, simply sit the other way now, so your other foot is in front this time. Otherwise, half shoelace by bringing the right foot to the outside of the left hip, or full shoelace by bending this left leg as well, left foot beside the right hip. Not sitting on our feet, keeping both of our seat bones pressing into our pillow. Spine nice and long to begin with. Checking in on everything at the top of the body, making sure it's all relaxing. And then just dripping that relaxation all the way down into your hips. Option once again, if you wish to take this into a fold, slowly walking the hands away, dropping the head. Again here, if you have any back disorders that doesn't allow you to round your back, you can just keep it straight. And here we're just quietly soothing any tension with our breath. Let's start to slowly come back up, straight spine, big breath in, big breath out. And once again, unraveling the legs, removing ourselves from shoelace nice and slowly. You can remove the cushion for now. You might do some windshield wipers here, leaning back on your hands, feet mat width distance apart. Exhale to drop the knees, inhale to pick them up, and exhale to the other side. And just following your breath here, releasing all that needs to go. When you're ready, you can come to lie completely on the mat, slowly rolling the spine onto the floor. And when you're there, just giving yourself a few seconds to rest on the floor. Such a healing practice to just lie on the floor. Our next pose is Bananasana, banana pose. Really nice pose to stretch out the obliques and those intercostal muscles in between your ribs. Also great for your IT band and just provides a nice lateral stretch for your spine. So you can begin by bringing your hands onto your hips and then walk both of your feet into the bottom left corner of your mat. Now be conscious not to roll your hips or twist them. Try to keep them exactly in the center and nice and square. So especially this right hip stays down. Then you're lifting your head and shoulders and walking them into the top right corner of your mat. And you can stay here, or if your body allows, you can stretch your arms over your head, creating that nice banana shape. As always, when we have our hands over our head, if you feel any tingling or numbness, just bring the hands back closer to you or have them wide apart, left to right on the floor. We're here for 3 minutes in total. If you'd like to go to the next edge, you can cross your ankles. For most people, it might feel deeper if you cross your right ankle over your left, but it might work for you to go the other way. Feel free to experiment. And then you can also hold your right wrist with your left hand and very gently pull that right arm away from you. And remember, this is Yin Yoga, so be conscious not to create any Yang energy. Just enough to create this nice stretch without forcing anything within your body. Breathe in to feel your rib cage expanding like a balloon. And breathe out to let something go. We're going to start to transition to the opposite side now. So hands might come back to the hips. Start to inch yourself back to the center. Pause if you need to. And then bring both of your feet into the bottom right corner. Keep your hips square and center as your head and shoulder comes to the top right corner. Arms might stretch up. Going deeper if you wish by crossing your ankles and holding your left wrist. Take your last 3 breaths now in banana pose, really savoring each moment. And in your own time, you can start to slowly release, inching your way back to center. Feeling all that new energy circulating your body. You might release Bananasana by bringing your knees towards your chest, gently pulling them in with your hands, releasing your lower back here. And it might feel nice to make some circles with your knees. And don't forget to switch directions. And before we move into our final relaxation, just a little reminder for you to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me in keeping these classes free. Also share this video with your friends and your family. Get them involved with you in doing this 9-week challenge of Yin Yoga. I hope you find it beneficial, and of course there are other people who can benefit from these classes as well, so please do share if you feel inclined to do so. And we'll spend the last few minutes of this practice in Shavasana pose or corpse pose. So if you need to maybe put back on your socks or a jumper, or you can grab your blanket and put it over you. Make sure you're nice and warm and super cozy here. Then when you're ready, you can start to unravel your body, making your legs long. Allow your arms and legs to take up as much space as they need. Palms are facing the sky. Chin is slightly tucked to the chest. And here the body can completely relax. No muscle is in use. Just feel all of your muscles drop towards the earth. All of your bones drop to the earth. All of the liquid of your body drops. Your jaw is loose. Your face is relaxed. Start to feel all of this energy circulating your body, this energy that you created by practicing these Yin Yoga poses. And we're going to stay for the next few minutes, just allowing that energy to circulate, to visit every cell of your body. You're welcome to stay here for even longer, but if you are ready to come back, make some gentle movements. And very slowly make your way back up into a seat on your mat. Once you're there, finding a comfortable way to sit, closing your eyes or relaxing your gaze. Lengthen through your spine. Tuck your chin to your chest. We'll close out this practice by taking a big breath in. And with your exhale, you can slowly start to open up the eyes again. Well done for completing this 90-minute Yin Yoga class. I hope you found this beneficial. If you did, please let me know by leaving a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe and leave this video a thumbs up. I will see you next week for our next full-length Yin Yoga class. But until then, have a great week. Take care and goodbye.